Hello friends, welcome to the second session for the series Tutorials Page Object Model using Selenium WebDriver and Java. Today in this session, we are going to see how can we implement Page Object Model design pattern without using page factories. So let's get started. Okay, so this is the application which we are going to take for our automation. What we'll do, we'll actually automate one test case. In that, we'll provide this varied information to the username and password text boxes, and then we click on the login button and we make sure that the user who has logged in, user has been successfully logged in into the application. Okay, so let me just start with the creation of project. I'm using IntelliJ. Click on the new project. I'm just giving it as a name like tutorial from YouTube Rajat design pattern using page object model and Selenium Java. This is the location I am giving, Maven I have selected, and let's go and create. Okay, so the project has been created. Let me just delete these files first of all. Yeah, delete this as well. Okay, now for the first thing which I want to mention here is that when I take interviews, I see like people think that this POM.xml is something which is related to the page object model. This is not true, guys. This POM is completely different from the page object model design pattern. This POM has a full form like project object model, which has the information about your project, like what all dependencies you want to include, and the other information regarding your project. Okay, and page object model is basically a design pattern which can be implemented for the UI automation part, and it is not only limited to Selenium WebDriver and Java. Okay, you can, if you are working with Cypress and JavaScript, if you are working with Playwright and Python maybe. Okay, so in any frameworks you can definitely implement that page object model design pattern. Okay, so currently I am working with the Selenium Java and with the Maven as a build and dependency management tool. So let me just put some repository, let me put the required dependencies. So I'm going to use TestNG as a testing framework. So let me just take the TestNG dependency from this Maven central repository, create the dependencies tag, paste it. The second thing is I want to work with what? Selenium Java, right? So search for the Selenium Java, go for it, take the latest one. And the third is WebDriver Manager. Why WebDriver Manager? Actually to automatically download the drivers basically for the specific browsers. I will not go to the websites and manually download those drivers and put it in my projects. This WebDriver Manager, this dependency will basically work for me. Okay, now the next thing is we have this application, right? So this application is something which is a login page. The first page itself a login page. So with the page object model design pattern approach, what should we do? We have to create the classes. One web page, one class. Okay, so let me just create a package for this, and maybe just name it as is for the tutorial page object model, and this is the pages of my application. Okay, let me just create a file, one more package. This is the second session, right? So second session, and this is something for which we are not using the page factories. So this is without page factories. Now create what? Now create the login page. Okay. Oh, sorry. I was supposed to create login page Java. Let me just delete this. Okay. So what do we need to do basically? First of all, we need to define what all elements with which we want to actually perform some operations. Okay. These elements can be anything, like they can be button, they can be text boxes, they can be images, links, etc. Okay, and then we have to define the operations, what all operations or methods we want to perform. So basically what you can do, these operations may be like maybe you would be interested in clicking, or maybe filling the value, or do the mouse over. Okay, that's it. Now on the login page itself, what all are the elements which we require? We need this information, like we need this text box for username, this text box for password, right? So let me just inspect this, right click and click on the inspect. This is basically the dev tools of the Chrome browser. Okay, and we are inside the elements tab. Now if you just click on this icon and you click on the text box, whatever element is present on the web page, it will navigate you. The DOM has this code. Basically for this particular text box, the developer has written this code. Okay, now you see it has an ID, username. So what we can do, basically, by what is it, it's a text box, right? Text box, and it is for username is equal to by dot. What was the locator strategy which we used? ID, right? As we know, like Selenium supports many, like we have ID, we have name, we have XPath, CSS selectors, we have partial link text, right? So for finding this text box username, I'm using ID. Okay, now let me just go to the other one, that is text box password. So for the password, you see there is something called name. The name is also an attribute. The value for that is password. So let me just copy this password. Okay. Copy this whole stuff. This is for text box what? Password text box. Put it there. And with the help of what? Name. This is the another strategy. And what is the third element we need? It's basically a button, right? Button for what? Button of login. So let me just check, like login. We are already done with ID and name, right? So there is something called value as well. So let me do just one thing. I'm just pressing the Control F to open this and just trying to write the XPath for this element. So this is basically, just a second, just read it again. This is input, and the value here is basically the attribute name, and this is the password value. So with the help of XPath, I want to find this button login. Okay, so we are done with the defining elements, right? So the next thing would be what we are interested in. We want to perform some operations. For example, with this username, when I am able to find this username text box, so I want to fill some information there, right? So let me just create the methods for that, and make sure that we create this as private. Maybe you can use the final keyword as well, because we do not want these values to be changed, right? Now I'm creating the methods basically for filling the value. So let me just copy, fill username. Okay. Now to use the methods which is provided by WebDriver, we need a WebDriver reference, right? So let me just create that WebDriver driver. Okay. So just taking this driver, then find element, and which element we want to take? The username text box, right? Dot send keys. This is the method which is provided by Selenium WebDriver only to fill some values. And what is the value we want to fill? That will take from the test case. Okay, string username and then just passing this one. I can copy the same method and do this for the password text box. Just copy this password. Done. What is the third element? The login button, right? So but we do not want to fill anything in there. We want to click on this button. Let me just copy this, and you see the names I have given to this web elements. Basically I'm able to see, like, this is a text box, so as a prefix I have used this text box. Maybe you can use txt directly, not e. Okay, and for this button I have used this btn. Okay, because why I have given these notations like in such a way, I have given the names. When we have multiple elements over the web pages, so it becomes difficult sometime to manage all of them. But now if you see the name, you will be able to see like what element is of what type. Is it a button or image or link or what is it? Okay, so the next thing is we want to find the button login and we want to perform the click, right? Okay, so when we have filled the credentials like username and password and we click on the login button, so we'll end up on the home page, right? So this is basically a home page. On the home page, like, how do we make sure that the user has been successfully logged in? Maybe what we can do, we can take this flag labs, okay, and we can just validate that yeah, this particular message or logo has been coming or not, because on the login page if you see, okay, this is there as well. Now we should take something else. Okay, maybe in the footer we have one message. Okay, we can take this and we can just make sure that yeah, this message is coming in proper way or not. So let me just create a similar class, copy and home page. Okay, what is the element I am looking for is, it's basically a message, right? Message, and that is inside the footer. So let me just write an XPath for this. Maybe this is a class, right? So let me just use this class and value footer copy. You see the element is highlighted. If I press the enter key, the element gets highlighted here. Just use it here by dot what XPath. This is an XPath, right? Okay, and what I want to perform with this, I do not want to click, I do not want to fill any value, I just want this element. So let me just change the website, this one. What I'll do in the test case itself, I'll just take this message footer okay, and we'll check the value. Return dot find element, which element is it? This is message footer. We'll just make sure that yeah, this particular message is coming or not, like source labs, all rights reserved, terms of services, everything is coming in a proper way or not. Okay, now when we are done with the defining the elements and what all operations we want to perform, then we can come up to our test case. Let me just create a test case here, maybe a package first of all. So this is basically tutorial dot POM dot tests. Okay, now let me create a Java class here. This is basically a test case. This is the second session. We have the login functionality which we are validating using POM, and that also without page factories. What page factories are, maybe in the coming session I will actually create a video on that as well. Okay, so let me write just an overview what we are going to try. What we'll do, we'll open the browser and navigate to website. Okay, and we close the browser at the last step, and in the middle what we'll do, we'll fill the credentials, click on the login button, and then validate the message in what footer, right? So for opening the browser, for initializing the driver, let me just create a method for, maybe I can call it as public void setup. Okay, I'm using this WebDriver manager dependencies. So basically I'm interested to run my test scripts on the Chrome browser. Okay, the next thing would be, I need a WebDriver reference here as well. WebDriver driver is equal to new what? Chrome driver, right? And I want to navigate to this website, right? I just copy the URL for it and paste it here. This get method is also provided by Selenium WebDriver API. If you do mouse over, you will be able to see like from exactly where it is coming. And just maximize the browser. Manage.window.maximize. Okay, so we are done with the setup here, and let me use one annotation from the TestNG framework, that is before method. Okay, now as a tear down as well, let me just put another method. So after the execution, like whatever is the result of a test case, is it passed or failed, we want to close the browser, right? So for that I'm just using driver.py. Now let me just create a test case. So this is basically a test case for login functionality, and we are going to provide the valid credentials. Okay, and how do I make sure that yeah, this method will be treated as a test case? For that, what you can do, you can use this test annotation, which is coming from testng only. Okay. These three annotations are coming from the testng framework only. So what we'll do, like this method setup will be executed before every test method you have written. For example, if you write 10 test methods here, so for all those 10 methods, this will be executed first, then test case, then after, then before, then test case number 2, then after, then before, then test case number 3, then after. Okay, this is how it will execute. So basically, for all our test cases which we have, these all will be the independent test cases. Okay. Okay, so let me just create the object for this class, like login page, because our flow starts with the login page itself only, right? Now you see we have used driver here, okay, and we have not provided any information like how exactly this driver will be initialized. This driver should work for the Chrome browser or Safari browser or Edge browser. So for that information should come from the test case itself. Okay, so let me just create a parameterized constructor here for this login page class, and it should take a WebDriver reference. This is coming from the test case itself. Okay, now this dot driver is equal to driver. Now this dot driver, this is the driver which we have declared in this class, and this driver is actually coming from the test class itself. Let me just do the same thing for this home page as well. Home page. Okay, now you come to the test case itself and you need to pass the driver, because you see this driver has the information like for which browser you are going to execute your test cases. Okay, now from the login page, what you want to do, you want to fill the values, right? For the username there is some value. What was that value? This is standard user, standard underscore user. Then for the password text box there is some information. What is the value? Secret underscore source. Let me just put it inside this double quotes, and then as the last step you want to click on the login button, right? So that's all. Now on the home page also you want to do something. You want to validate that whether we are getting that message or not. So we need to pass the driver reference, and home page door, we have written a method like get message footer, right? So this is basically returning you the web element. Now if you want that what is the text, what is the value present over there on the web page, for this there is another method called get text, by which we can actually find the text that is associated with this web element. Okay, so what you can do, you can actually write this. Maybe I have created a string variable. So actual message is something like about get text, and what are you expecting in this method? Message, basically expected message. We're expecting this source labs all rights reserved until this privacy policy. This should be present inside that, right? Let me just do it. Take it from here. This is the expected. Done. Now how do we put the assertions? Basically with the testng framework we have this class called assert, which has some predefined methods like assert true. Okay, I'm using this one of the method assert true, with the help of which what I'm trying to validate is this actual message which is present on the website, on the web page. Does it have this expected message or not? Okay, so this is the validation which we have put it down. Now if you try to execute the test case, and let's see if everything is working fine. If not, then we'll look what is the updation we need to perform. You see, it started with the setup. Why? Because when you executed this test case, because of this before method annotation, it is taking this setup as a prerequisite for this test case. Okay, so what will happen? This code which you have written inside this method setup, which has been annotated with before method, this will be executed first. So what WebDriver manager will do? WebDriver manager will actually get the driver binaries for the Chrome browser, and then we initialize the driver with the Chrome driver. Then we navigate to the source demo application and we maximize the window. Okay. After that, the page object model stuff is coming. Like, yeah, on the login page, what you want to do, we want to fill the text box username with some value. We want to fill some value inside the password text box, and then we want to perform a click. basically on the login button, and then you are just doing the validation on this for this message which we have present inside the footer. Okay, yeah. So it started the browser, it opened the browser, navigated to the application, filled the credentials, and you see it clicked and it got passed. Okay, so this is how basically we can actually implement the page object model design pattern, but without using the page factors. Okay, so in the upcoming section, in the next session, we'll see like how exactly we can use the page factors. Do we need to make the changes inside our test case, or do we need to make changes inside our pages class one? Okay, you'll see for this. And yeah, I'll push this code into the GitHub repository. I'll let you know when it will be available in my GitHub repository. You'll get the code, you can get the code from there. Okay, so thank you so much for this session. Thank you for your time. Have a very good day.